All right, one more minute and we'll be ready. Hi, Namaran. Can you hear us okay? Pooja? Okay. All right, so I think we have a good group now. Uh, Let me just make sure. Okay, so folks, please mute yourself as of now. As you've seen in the previous sessions, we'll just do the lesson first, and then we'll open it up for discussion. Usually people take like 5 minutes to come, so what I usually do is like I take a small topic, to jumpstart, and then we'll jump into the real topic, right? So I think everyone is ready. So Bimar, okay. So there was one question on the side. हिंदी में sick को क्या कहते हैं? If somebody is ill or sick. Okay, so that's very good that you're asking the question in Hindi. So first thing, like folks who are joining, for the first time, uh, the formula to learn, any language is to ask questions also in the same language, right? So the first thing, the formula we have is Hindi में को क्या कहते हैं, right? So best formula, I'll try to repeat it again and again, so that way all of us can sort of use it on a day-to-day basis, right? So Hindi mein, and then this is the word you are interested in finding out the meaning, right? So Hindi mein, in this case, sick को क्या कहते हैं? So Hindi में sick को बीमार कहते हैं. So that's B. बीमार कहते हैं. If you are not able to see, feel free to tell me and I'll be able to, I'll write it on top. So बीमार. बीमार कहते हैं. Okay, I'll try to write down the bigger word as well so you can see it. So the lighter topic that I have today is how to bargain. It's a very good topic. You can use it on a day-to-day basis. Whenever you are traveling or even when you're communicating with your friends. So the topic is how to bargain in Hindi, or in another sense, how to ask a price of a particular product in Hindi. Right? Um, Again, we'll use the formula as much as possible. The interrogative that we have here is called kitna. Okay. Kitna. Kitna is how much. Uh, Kitna, how much, and you'll write it like kitna. And we'll try to use the same interrogative whenever we are trying to find out the price of a product or something, right? Along with that, we use a post position called uh, ka, ke, and ki. We briefly discussed these post position in the last class as well. Three of them, ka, ke, and ki. And you will see the usage of the same post position when you are trying to find out the price of a product as well, right? Um, I'll erase it so that way. So So that's the formula for finding the price of anything in Hindi, right? So you have, this is the place where you have your object or a product. You are interested in finding the price, and then your interrogative kitna, which becomes kitne here because it is followed by a post position, which you'll be writing here, and then hai. Right? So think of something. Let's say you have a laptop, right? So laptop, kitne, and because laptop is considered masculine singular in Hindi, it would be ka hai. Laptop kitne ka hai. Okay. Feel free to write down on the chat box name of different products you are interested in inquiring the price for, and we will see whether it will be ka or ki or k. Right? But in this case, laptop is masculine singular, so laptop kitne ka hai. Okay. And then let's say you're going to a furniture shop and you see a table you really like. You'll be asking table kitne की है, table कितने की है. Now in case of table you use की because table is considered feminine singular. Don't worry about it if you make a mistake here at this point. I'll try to repeat it again and again so that way it will be strengthened in your case. Kitab. So that's one thing which somebody asked. So again, if you go back to the earlier formula that we have, table it's an English word, right? In this case, but if you want to find out the Hindi, relevant word for table, you can use our formula. Hindi में table को क्या कहते हैं, right? Or in this case, which as Dilara mentioned, let's say you are saying book कितने की है, and book is again feminine singular, so book कितने की है. Just to repeat our formula, book को हिंदी में क्या कहते हैं, and the answer would be किताब. So I can write it here, किताब किताब कितने की है. Again, kitab is feminine singular. Let's see if we have something. Okay. Now, interesting question, right? What if we have plural here, right? So there are four things: masculine singular, masculine plural, feminine singular, and feminine plural, right? When we're talking about feminine, it will still remain the key. But when we're talking about masculine plural, it will become K, right? So when we're talking about plural here, it would be kitabe. So it would be kitabe. Can you do it later? Can you do the cleaning later? No. Okay, okay. So it will be kitabe kitne की है. किताबें कितने की है. I'm not sure if you can see it. If you cannot, let me know and I'll change the position of the whiteboard. किताबें कितने की है. So as a rule of thumb, let's take one more example where we have masculine plural. So I'll remove one thing and then, so first is like laptop कितने का है. Let's take a fruit, banana. In this case, it will be plural. Bananas कितने. Because it's masculine and it's plural, it would be कितने के हैं. Bananas कितने के हैं. One more time, masculine singular, masculine plural, feminine singular, feminine plural. I'll repeat it again. First, let's use the formula, and I want you to give examples on the chat box. Let's see. There's one question. Okay. Probably everyone can see it now. So first, let me put a formula, and then it'll be easier for everyone to see. So here you have masculine singular, masculine plural, and then feminine singular and feminine plural. Singular and plural in Hindi, it's easier to determine what is singular, what is plural. But when it comes to differentiating between masculine and feminine, it's usually a very difficult, complex topic. But don't worry about it. As we practice more and more, we will figure out that as well. There are some rules around it, but which are not really applicable across the board. So this is our formula. I hope everybody at least have gone through this different variations. I'll write down in a much more simpler way now. इतने, it could be का, की, and के followed by है. Okay, so you'll write down your object here and you will say कितने का है, कितने की है, and कितने के हैं. Now I want you to take your time and write down on the side different examples, so that way at least I'm sure that you have at least learned how to ask for a price of a given thing. So feel free to use the chat box and write at least 1 or 2 sentences. And I'll give you some time to write down, or at least if you don't know, write down the product. Okay, how about bicycle? Okay, is it masculine or feminine in Hindi? What do you think? So we call it like cycle. Cycle is feminine in Hindi. So your question will be cycle कितने की है, right? Cycle कितने की है. What else? Anybody else would like to chime in and ask or give a name of a product, and we'll see where it fits in the formula. Sari, that's good. So sari, it's like the cloth you wear, right, women. So sari, it's feminine singular if you're talking about one sari. So it will be sari kitne ki hai. But if you're asking for multiple saris, right, sariyan, and we learned the singular and plural, but in this case sariyan kitne ki hai. For feminine, it doesn't matter. If you're talking about anything which is feminine, both singular and plural, you will use ki, postposition. But in masculine, for singular you use ka, for plural you use ke. Anything else? Mobile. Okay, mobile kitne ka hai. That's right. So mobile is masculine singular. So mobile kitne ka hai. Let's do some more example, and I'm sure people even who are beginners, they will at least understand everything then. Kamisa, I think you're talking about shirt, probably. So shirt is interesting. Shirt, it will be a feminine singular. Okay, so shirt kitne ki hai. Shirt kitne ki hai. Okay, and then apple, it's in Hindi it's same. Okay, if you're talking about one apple, apple kitne ka hai. Okay, if you're talking about multiple apples or like a group of apple, right? Apples kitne ke hai. So anything else? I'll give like few more seconds. Any questions from AU on it? Feel free to write down on the chat box, so that way at least you know how to ask the price of a given product. Yeah, it's the question is, it's hard to decide what is masculine and what is feminine in Hindi. It's absolutely correct. Maybe in the next class we'll spend most of the time just discussing that. There are some rules which we can use, and it's very important, and I would underscore that don't worry about it if you cannot distinguish between the masculine or feminine objects. even if you make a mistake, it's fine. Okay, what we'll do is like we'll come up with a formula, and that way you will ask in Hindi the same question to the native speaker or people who who you are communicating with. So that way, you don't feel it as your weakness, you feel it as your strength, that you are you know clarifying it in Hindi. You know. So that is correct. It's a general thing. There are some white papers also around it. How to differentiate between masculine and feminine in Hindi. It's a known thing. हिंदी में मूवी को क्या कहते हैं? Okay, anybody would like to give an answer? हिंदी में मूवी को क्या कहते हैं? Okay, movie. It's one of the well, cinema. It's used in India in the late 80s. Hindi, you will see cinema is used quite, but cinema, it's like it's also an English as well. I think it's an English word. Cinema or film. Um, there's one more word which is difficult. Even if you use it, people probably that we don't use it on a day-to-day basis. Chalchitra. So I'll write down here. Chal Chitra. Chal is like a motion. Chitra is a picture, like a photo, right? So think of it as like a moving picture, right? So that's movie, but you will not see it. I mean, I'm just giving you so that way you will understand the semantics behind it. But even if you talk to someone, Chal Chitra, probably they'll know about it, but they don't use it, on a day-to-day basis. So good question. Is it a good way to remember which word is masculine or feminine? Well, as you become more and more advanced, I think it is important that we learn the difference between masculine and singular. No, sorry, masculine and feminine, so that way we can use the post positions and interrogatives appropriately. Um, there's a fundamental difference between SOV languages and SVO languages. English is not inflected language, right? I mean, for you will not differentiate in English, like how much is an apple and how much is a laptop or a banana. It'll be same for everything in English, right? It's very less inflected. I have read somewhere that the older English was highly inflected, but as the language evolved, they simplified it quite a lot. But Hindi is still a very inflected language, and when I say inflected, it means that based on your object here, like whether it's a masculine or feminine, there will be inflection in the interrogatives you're using. There will be inflection in postpositions or even adjectives. So, which makes it interesting, but it also makes it a little bit challenging to understand. However, there are some advantages of learning and inflected languages, which we'll be discussing more and more in the upcoming sessions. So, Spanish too. I heard that from a comment here that Spanish is also an inflected language, which is true. One of my YouTube video, I covered some examples from Spanish as well. So thanks, Marcela. Polish is inflected just like Hindi. Okay, so you see, right, there is a similarity. So, having learned one inflected language, you will be able to understand the semantics of Hindi as well. So, good. Any other questions or comments? Okay, so let's go to the next topic, which I really wanted. So this is good, right? I mean, at least now how to ask the price for a given product, right, in Hindi. Um, I have covered some lessons of Hindi verbs. However, like folks from AU, they are relatively new. So I want to find a balance so that way I don't repeat too much of the information, but at the same time, we learn verbs and how to use them on a day-to-day language, right? So think about a scenario where you are describing your routine to someone. routine, right? So the rest of the session, what we'll do is like we will learn how to describe a routine of your routine in Hindi. Okay. So on the chat box, you can definitely write down what do you usually ask, right? Or what do you usually say when you are talking about your daily routine, right? I mean, some of the things that comes to my mind is that I read books, or I, ride a bicycle, or I go for long walks. I eat, Thai food. Generally, these kind of things you will think of, right, when you're talking about your routine. Or you will say, I watch action movies, or I watch some soap operas, etc., etc. So when you're when you're talking about routine, present indefinite tense. And this is something you usually do, things that you do on a day-to-day basis. For that, you use present indefinite. Um, what I'll do is I'll try to simplify it based on different pronouns that we learned in the previous class. Um, and This one quick comment here: breakfast time, bedtime. Okay, that's usually we do in the routine. Um, so let's say we pick a verb. Okay, and I pick a verb which is infinitive. Let's see. I have to see if somebody is unmuted. Just make sure you guys are muted so there is no background noise. Okay. So let's take a verb called khana. Khana is to eat. Khana. Okay. Khana. So most of the verbs we'll be going over, they end with na, and this is the infinitive form of the verb, right? Khana. However, when we are using this verb in the present indefinite context, it will, based on the pronoun, it will be, we'll just use the first half of it, kha. So imagine that the I as a, a masculine singular, if I'm talking about it, I'll be saying main apple, let's say, kha ta hmm. Bear with me, we're just getting started, so you may have some question here. Main here refers to I. Okay. May apple. Apple is like any thing you're talking about here. So what you've done here is like you're only you taking the first half of the verb. Khana is a verb in infinitive form. Khana. However, you just took the first half kha, and then for masculine singular you're using khata hu. मैं apple खाता हूँ. I eat an apple. Okay. For a We'll do more examples, so don't worry about it. So for a same thing, if a female is saying मैं apple खाती हूँ. Now this first half remains the same, kha, but it became for a girl it's tea. खाती हूँ. मैं apple खाती हूँ. Now let's say, how about you? If you're saying you eat an apple, it would be आप apple खा. Now it becomes te. आप एप्पल खाते हैं. It's te. Okay. What about us? We. we eat an apple. So it'll be hum apple khate. It's one word, but I'm writing it so that way you can sort of see the difference. Khate hain. So it's same for both hum and aap. Khate hain. If you remember the pronouns that we did last time, you'll be able to see the sequence here. So it's first main for male, main for female, aap for you, hum for us. Okay, we'll do one more, which is no, actually we'll do multiple, and the next one is way, which is they. They eat an apple. So way apple खाते हैं. There's one comment. Can you show the informal? Okay, so we'll do that as well. Let me know till when you can see it, okay? Because my whiteboard is a smaller whiteboard. Okay. Let's do वह also. वह, this is they, which is they. वह, we can use it for a male as well as female, he or she. Okay. So when we say he eats an apple, it would be वह apple खाता है. वह एप्पल खाता है. And for a girl, it would be वह एप्पल खाती है. वह एप्पल खाती है. Now, let me erase this top part. It's not to, when you're doing it for the first time, it may appear a little bit intimidating, but it'll get very simpler because you'll see it's a very mathematical here. So वह apple खाता है, for he eats an apple and she eats an apple. वह apple खाती है. Now somebody asked, how do we use informal tu or tum? Okay. Um, it changes the rule a little bit, but which is fine. There are some advanced students as well. So it will be for two, it would be two apple खाता है. Same as like वह two apple खाता है. But if you're giving some respect using तुम apple खाते हो. So it changes from all the others that we have done. तुम apple खाते हो. So a lot of them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So 9 of them. Lot to digest. So take your time. I'll repeat it again. तू apple खाता है, which is same as the other ones, which is वह apple खाता है. So masculine singular. Right? And again, this is when we say तू apple खाता है, we are referring as a male. We are talking to someone informally, but the person is probably masculine singular. Right? तू apple खाता है. But if you're talking to girl, तू apple खाती है. So probably you have seen that trend, like there is a R sound when you're talking to male, there is E sound when you're talking to female. तुम एप्पल खाते हो. तुम एप्पल खाते हो. Again, if you're talking to a female, it will be तुम एप्पल खाती हो. You don't have to memorize all of them. I'll be repeating it multiple times, so it'll be easier for you as we go through. Now let's say we take a new word. Khana is to eat. Okay? Let's take a new word. Um, hmm. Give me an example here. Like, what would you like to? Okay, padhna. Okay, so padhna is to read. Padhna is to read. Okay. I'll remove here, and now think of it as like a book or kitab. So across the board, it's book, book. Okay. So when we're talking about two, it will be two book. As I said, we will take everything before na. So it would be pad. We'll take the first half, pad. So wherever we had kha, it would be pad, P-A-D-H. Okay, so two book, पढ़ता है और तू बुक पढ़ती है तुम बुक तुम बुक पढ़ते हो और तुम बुक पढ़ती हो पर अगर मैं बुक पढ़ता हूँ मैं बुक पढ़ता हूँ पर गर्ल मैं बुक पढ़ती हूँ मैं बुक पढ़ती हूँ फॉर यू इट्स आप बुक पढ़ते हैं हम which is we like we read a book will be हम book पढ़ते हैं and then they read a book वे book पढ़ते हैं और वह book पढ़ता है he reads a book and she reads a book वह book पढ़ती है. Good, right? I mean, if I give you a verb and a homework assignment to write these 9 sentences, you should be able to write, right? So I'll do that, but let's see. There's a comment on the side. मैं apple, मैं okay. Okay. So question is, verb is to see. Verb is to see. To see is देखना. देखना. So you will use till DEKH, dekh, and then you'll remove the na. Now, if you're watching a movie, right, you will say मैं movie देखता हूँ, right? However, let's say if I'm watching you or someone, right, it'll be there will be a postposition involved here. So the question was, how do you say that I'm looking at you or I look at you, right? It'll be मैं आपको देखता हूँ. Aap is you, but we have used a postposition called को here along with aap. Sentence is simpler. मैं आपको देखता हूँ या मैं आपको देखती हूँ. Since we have not done too much of postpositions as of now, just bear with me with the answer that मैं आपको uh, देखती हूँ और देखता हूँ. As we go to the postpositions, we'll look into the detail of it. But that gives me an idea that we can use it as a homework exercise. Why don't we just write in the comments or in the YouTube once the video is uploaded? Um, you can write 9 sentences. This time you can, instead of saying मैं movie देखता हूँ, think about the name of a movie. Okay, a recent movie, and then write down the name of it. That मैं let's say Titanic देखता हूँ, or let's say the name of a new movie. that मैं X or something movie देखती हूँ, and you can use this verb take now. Okay, everybody is good so far? Any questions? Let's take a small break. Any questions from AU students? Okay, good. Um, Now we have seen one form of it, which is present indefinite in an affirmative form. Let's see how we can make it negative, right? I mean, if you, let's say you are not doing something or you do not do something, right? I mean, it would be how do you do that now, right? Where do you put the negative nahi here, right? Um, any suggestion or any comments? Because some people, some of you, I think already know about it. Where will you put nahi? So the question is like, how do you say I do not watch a movie, or I do not read a book, or they do not, buy an umbrella, or they do not ride a bicycle? How do you say all these sentences? Again, these are in present indefinite tense. They are talking about their daily habits, right? All you need to know is like the verb. What is the verb? Because you know the pronouns, you can easily fit the verb depending upon the pronoun, as long as you know the verb, right? So which makes verb very important in Hindi. Um, what I'll do is like recently in one of the video, it's just like a 5-minute video, but we covered several verbs there. um, you have to memorize verbs. There is no sort of like way around it. I'll send you the video to all the students, so that way at least you can brush it up. But verbs are really important. Those are sort of like your foundations to learn any languages, but in this case Hindi. Let's see, there is one comment. Okay, before the verb है, uh, before the verb, okay, okay, मैं apple नहीं खाता हूँ, so that's correct. Like you'll put it before the verb. So scenario 1 was this one, affirmative form. Right. Now scenario 2 is negative form. So the negative would be to book, that you have here. It will be before the verb. To book nahi. It will be nahi. To book nahi padta hai. You do not read a book. So think of a scenario like a mom can use to for his son, and if she is like really shouting at him and scolding him, she has, right, she can do that, right? So like tu nahi padta hai, okay, or tum nahi padte ho. A teacher is saying that, because teacher can be a little bit more formal, right, to the student, right? So tum nahi padte ho, and then मैं book nahi padta हूँ. I do not read a book. Or if you are not using a book, मैं नहीं पढ़ता हूँ, that means I do not read. मैं नहीं पढ़ता हूँ. So it's just before the verb. Again here, मैं नहीं पढ़ती हूँ, for a girl, for okay, मैं नहीं पढ़ती हूँ. Similarly, आप नहीं पढ़ते हैं, you do not read. हम नहीं पढ़ते हैं, we do not read. वे नहीं पढ़ते हैं, they do not read, or they do not study. वह नहीं पढ़ता है, he does not study, or he does not read. And then वह नहीं पढ़ती है, she does not read or she does not study. Again, don't worry about writing the notes. it will be uploaded on YouTube, so you can always go back and refer to it. The idea is to like pay attention, so that way at least uh, how to use a verb in a given tense. And the way I look at it, like how to maximize it, how to learn this pattern, and then continue to learn so many verbs and apply, it as a principle. Okay, so we have learned affirmative form, we have learned the negative form, which is how to use nahi. Okay, now we will learn interrogative form. And interrogative form is nothing but it's basically asking question like, do you read, or do they read, or do they eat an apple, or does she ride a bicycle, or does he swim, or think about all those kind of scenarios. Those are like interrogative forms. And again, you are using present indefinite tense. Now, as in the examples, you can see that there is a use of do, does, all these kind of interrogatives. Now, again, so question to you: where do you think the sentence structure is still the same? Where do you think we put the interrogative here to make it like a question for someone? Like, do you study or do you teach? I'll give it a quick minute so that way I can get some answers from you. Where do you put, how do you make it interrogative? मैं पढ़ता हूँ और आप पढ़ते हैं. Can you make it do you read just by using an interrogative? Okay, um, I'll tell you. So the interrogative here you have is kya. Kya also means what, depending upon where it is placed in the sentence. But if you put kya before the pronouns, the sentence that we have here, it will automatically change. A quick comment here, let's see. I have to go. Okay, no problem. Um, no problem. So if you put interrogative kya before the sentence, it will make it like it will make it like a question. So if I say kya tu padhta hai, okay, that means like a mom is asking the son, do you study or do you read, or some of your relative, let's say, because mom, she usually knows, right? So let's say if someone is coming to your family and they might ask like kya tu padhta hai, do you study, kya tum padhte ho, do you study or do you read? Okay, this is more like a philosophical, like do I read, okay, kya main padhta hu, or kya main padhti hu. Okay. So in all of them, you're just putting it before the pronoun that you have to make it like a interrogative sentence. क्या आप पढ़ते हैं? Do you read? Or to teach is पढ़ाना. Right? So it could be क्या आप पढ़ाते हैं? Do you teach? और क्या आप पढ़ाती हैं? To a girl. Okay. क्या हम पढ़ते हैं? Do we study? और क्या हम खेलते हैं? Do we play? And then here क्या वे पढ़ते हैं? Do they study? और क्या वह पढ़ता है? So you got it, right? I mean, I'm repeating it so that way people can sort of grasp it immediately. So that was our third form. We've gone through affirmative form, we've gone through negative form, we've gone through the interrogative form. Just by using one verb and knowing some of the pronouns, you can make so many sentences. Right? The last one, last form that I have is It's a combination of second and third, which is how do we use a combination of interrogative and negative, right? When we said तू पढ़ता है, it was you study or you read. तू नहीं पढ़ता है, you do not read. Okay. When we say क्या तू पढ़ता है, it was do you read. Now we are saying the question is don't you read, okay, or don't you swim, okay, or doesn't she shop a lot, right, or doesn't he eat a lot, all those kind of scenarios. So some of you probably have already guessed it. It would be kya will come before the pronoun and nahi will come here. So kya tu nahi, क्या तू नहीं पढ़ता है, और क्या तुम नहीं पढ़ते हो. So I'll just take one verb and I'll write down all of them, so that way it'll be simpler for you. So that was our fourth form, but I'll just take one pronoun and write down all of them, so that way you can see the difference easily. Let's take a verb called आप गाते हो. आप गाते हैं, let's say आप गाते हैं. गाना is to sing. Gana. But as I said, when you're using it in the present indefinite tense, you just use it before the na, and then you for aap it's aap gaate hain, because it's aap it's they. So that's our form one. You sing a song. Aap gaate hain. Negative would be aap nahi gaate hain. आप नहीं गाते हैं. You do not sing. Remember, we put nahi before the verb. And then third form was क्या आप गाते हैं. That's our third form. Do you sing? क्या आप गाते हैं? And the fourth one is don't you sing? क्या आप नहीं गाते हैं? That's our fourth form. क्या आप नहीं गाते हैं? Interrogative plus negative. Quick question here, which is, if you don't sing different from okay, that's different, that's right, for cannot, as in English you're using models cannot or may not or might not, those are different. Here is like that you do not sing rather than you cannot sing. Capability is different, right? I mean, we will cover models later on. Here we are just talking about like a day-to-day usage, right? I mean, on a basically present indefinite tense. So what I'll do now is like I'll open it up for any questions or discussions. That way we can go over any questions you might have. This will not be up. This part will probably be more interactive now. So feel free to unmute yourself. I'll not be writing now. I'll be just interacting with you. So this is the place where I can unmute everyone and then take questions. So let me unmute everyone. Just let me make sure that all of you are unmuted. And it will not be uploaded, so feel free to chime in and share your input here. If you feel shy, you can also write down on the chat box your question. But let's have this section as a very interactive session. So I think most of, I think I have unmuted everyone. Let me just quickly make sure. Yeah, I think I have unmuted. Mhm. That's the thing, right? I would have to unmute everyone. So I'll not unmute everyone one time. What I'll do is like you can unmute yourself and then ask the question. That is much easier actually. Any questions or comments or reflections? Even if you want to know the meaning of a particular verb, you can ask here. Amba, if you want, you can ask any questions. Or even if you want to practice Hindi, this is your chance. And as I said, it's a very informal sort of an environment, so you shouldn't be afraid of making a mistake. That's completely permitted. Nemanan, I know you are an advanced student. If you want to chat in Hindi, we can do that. Unmute yourself, and then the question I had was about gender, which I guess might have different. Okay. Yeah, so next class we will discuss masculine versus feminine, right? It's a very common theme, and even as a teacher, there are so many white papers around it, and it's very difficult to teach how to, identify masculine and feminine, in Hindi. But we'll cover it next week, and we'll try to see how many rules we can create around it. Any questions, you folks? Do you have a good online dictionary to use for English to Hindi? There are some nowadays. There are like people use smartphones quite a lot. Um, I haven't like really researched all of them, but I'll look into some of the apps, and I'm gonna get back to you guys. But there are some apps where you can. I use Hindi Khoj quite a lot, and I'll write it down here. I use that quite a lot, even when I'm looking for a particular word. So and Khoj by it's basically search or uh, सर्च को हिंदी में खोज कहते हैं, so that's why it's like Hindi खोज, so you can use that. Okay, there's one comment from Dilara, which is fun easy learn is also good. Okay, I'll write it down. I haven't really looked at it, but I'll still write. Is it a dictionary, Dilara, or is it a book or an app? It's an app. Okay, good. Okay, okay. Okay, so it has test also. So as Dilara is recommending, I'll also try to see how this app is fun, easy learn. It seems they have a test also, so you can learn different vocabulary words and then test your skills. Okay, so In the last class also I mentioned, like, it's very important that we practice whatever we are learning. The best thing I'm realizing it is like when we are interacting with other people, right? So as I mentioned, it will be good. I'm using Twitter quite frequently these days, and I'm monitoring it as well. So what you can do is, like, as you make these sentences, you can send it to Hindi University. It's one word on Twitter, and you can use hashtag learn Hindi, and you can send it to me. And the same Twitter hashtag will be reviewed by so many of the advanced students as well. I have a Twitter team for Hindi University. They are also constantly reviewing it. So it will be a great source for you to sort of get your questions answered, uh, and sort of build an ecosystem for Hindi University, right? And what I will encourage you, like, the 9 sentences that we have learned it in 4 different forms: affirmative, negative, interrogative, and negative plus interrogative. You can just take one verb, which is I said to see or dekhna. Right? You can just make sentences and send it to Hindi University using this hashtag, right? Yeah, and as I have seen Amba also, I mean, she's saying that people are on Twitter are usually very eager to help out, right? There might be some, like, if you see someone bothering you, you can always block them, but usually people are willing to help, right? So that's also one of the quick way to get your answered, to get your question answered. And as I said, I'm monitoring it very frequently. Um, and I want to make sure that we develop like a curriculum via the social media, right? I mean, that's one of the, you know a theme of Hindi University, right, to connect different Hindi speakers as well, right? And uh, all right, so I look forward to seeing your participation on Twitter. Thank you so much for attending the class. Let's meet next week, same time, 10 a.m. Next topic will be a little bit more advanced, which is how the prep topic would be to differentiate between how to differentiate between masculine and feminine objects in Hindi. How to find out what is what, right? And in the second half, we will do present continuous tense, which is same thing that we did today, but in a different tense, which is like, are you swimming, or I'm not swimming, I'm eating apple, or I'm eating Thai food. It'll be very interesting. It's used quite frequently, in the stories as well. So I look forward to seeing you next week. All right. Thank you so much. Right. So there is some comment here from Monica as well. Bye. Good app is fun, easy learn. So it seems like a lot of people have tried it. Good, easy app. All right. Stay. Any questions, you folks? You can unmute yourself and ask. I'll still remain online for a few minutes. Thank you so much, Nemanin, and everyone. Thank you.